Hi everyone, I'm Rajkamal and welcome back to the brand new series of AI product engineering. And in continuation to that, as you all know from last 2-3 sessions, I'm discussing Docker in detail so that you get the understanding uh, the, the importance of Docker, how you can implement end-to-end AI system with the help of Docker because it will play a very crucial role. So if I'll give you a quick recap of what all things we have learned so far. So I started with Docker introduction, then I talked about Docker components. It's like Docker image, containers, then Docker volume. We understand how can we create a custom image with the help of Docker file as well. Then we also understand in a full-fledged application where we will be having front-end, back-end, database component, how the networking happen underneath between these containers. Then we also understand the networking as a standalone topic, and we have done the hands-on session as well with the help of I believe portfolio project where we have containerized, or I would say dockerized your personal portfolio project as well. And I have given you practical walkthrough about Docker volumes as well, where I make you understand in a real world project while using the database component, you will be doing those transactions and you want to persist those information for the business continuity. In that use case, probably we can go ahead and use Docker volume. So I believe till here everything is very clear in your mind and you're confident enough to even implement in your project level all those things. Okay, now in today's session I have planned with a again a real-time project implementation where I'm going to include all what all components we have learned so far in a single place so that you get the visibility of nginx server, front end, back end, database component all together, and how efficiently those networking happens between all these components. And uh, uh, and you will be able to develop that thought process while working in a real world project. How can you make and these things enabled in your implementation as well? Okay, so guys, without further delay, let's get started. Okay, all right. So before jumping to the today's agenda in detail, I would like to show you the end goal and output as well. So as a part of today's session, which will be in detail a hands-on session, where as a part of today's session, you will be able to create a employee management system, a very nice interactive user interface with all this functionality. You can see all the employees which are available as a part of your database, and you can make those transactions. You can add the employee, you can update the employee details, you can delete it as well. You can see let me uh, I will give you the walkthrough after completing the session, but that's how this this today's session output will look like. You can go here, you can add the employee directly from here. You can I have created this interface where you can go and provide these details, and after simply clicking on the add employee, this employee records will be added to the backend in the backend database. And here, for your more exposure, I'm not using MySQL because in one of my previous recordings I already talked about how can you dockerize your MySQL server as well. So here for more learning exposure, I'm using Postgre because this is something you will be using in the real world project as well. So I hope this will work. So guys, you are able to see the end goal. I hope you are excited, and let's build it together. So as a part of today's session, I'm going to create these all these components. uh, One more additional component that I'm going to include as a part of full-fledged application development, that is database. Apart from that, nginx server, front and backend, I already covered in the one of the previous sessions. So you will be able to connect all those dots. Okay, and here I have taken example of the employee management system as a part of today's recording, today's session. Okay, I will be giving you walkthrough about the Docker Compose, service explanation, network communication, each and everything. And as a part of and a goal, I already shown you how beautifully you will be able to create a full-fledged application with all these components working, networking in between flawlessly. Okay, and then I have also included one service which is not visible from the application perspective, but in order to make your DB transaction more interactive, the way you remember, I have used PHP admin to interact in a very user-friendly manner to your MySQL Server database. Here I'm using PG admin, which is a very official Docker image to create that kind of interactive user interface for your Postgres database, so that in through the user interface you can make those transactions and create the database, making some entries to the tables, each and everything you can do through the user interface. So that thing also as a additional point I have added in today's session. So I hope you will like that as well. Okay, then I've included the all the basic commands that you can run, and you will also learn as a part of today's session some additional commands, like how can you just through the docker command how can you just stop all the containers and just remove all the stopped containers, so that if you go there from the docker desktop application, you won't be see any container existing, even because after stopping as well that container exists. But when you're using docker compose down, it will stop and remove that container from your docker desktop, okay, from your local machine. So you will also I mean learn about this command as well practically, and these are the command that we are actually by default using. Okay, this is basically for the building only, removing all the existing cache, and using that command it will do each and everything. I mean, it will build, it will spin up each and everything, right? So probably there are little bit difference between these commands, but as and when you will be using practically, you will understand the minor differences between these commands. Hope that sounds good, guys. Okay, so let's jump to the VS Code ID. Okay, all right. So guys, this is the code repo basically in my local employee management system open. So if you look at, so guys, if you look at uh, in this code repo, I'm maintaining different folder for different components for the backend as well, for the uh, DB as well, and for the front end. And this is for the nginx, right? Reverse proxy manager. And here one additional folder structure I'm maintaining for the PG admin. This is nothing but enabling you with powering you with the user interface through which you can interact with your Postgre server or Postgre database in the backend, right? Then I'm maintaining Docker Compose so that I can orchestrate and maintain and manage all these separate Docker containers with respect to backend, database, frontend, nginx, PG admin. Okay, all right. So guys, before getting into the detail, I believe let's brief you with my pen tab in terms of the whole architecture, so that you will be able to connect all the dots, right? That is pretty much important. Okay, all right. Okay, all right. So guys, here if you'll see, I'm going to draw whole architecture so that you get the understanding of what you are supposed to work. as a part of this project. Okay, so there will be the client. We're considering this as a browser in our case. Okay, this will be client we are considering in our case, and then the request will be coming to the nginx. And this is the reverse proxy manager that we have learned so far. Okay, then this it will navigate the request through the backend, front end, as per the routes defined inside the default.config file. So suppose, because here we are using three components, so how the communication are happening underneath, or networking is happening underneath. This thing I want to clarify to you guys. So nginx will be running on certain port number, right? Let me take those port number as well for your reference. So here it will be like backend, and here will be a front end component running. Okay, a certain port detail I will be providing you. Then it will interact to the our network, to the communicate to the database as well, right? So there is a database component as well. So what we are using here, Postgre. Okay, I will provide you the port details as well, so that this is where those networking will happen, right? And the browser will be listening at through a browser. We will be making those requests, and nginx will be running at 80 in our local. And for the backend, let's jump to the yeah, VS Code editor, and those details we can find it here. So if you look at backend is running, this is the DB port 54325 for the Postgres 5432, and for the backend, the I mean we have mentioned the port detail as a 8000. So on 8000 in my local as well, and even on the container, it's running on 8000 port only, right? This is the port binding concept. I believe you guys are aware about that thing, because I have already explained in some of the previous recording sessions. Okay, so backend is running on 8000. Talking about the front end, yeah, this is the front end service. It's running on 3000 port number on my local machine as well, and even inside the container it's running on 3000 port number. 3000 port number. Okay, I think everything networking wise, even you're also clear how the communication are being made underneath. So since we are using three components, not it's not like that database is directly communicating to the nginx. The communication to the database is coming through this route. Okay, let me use the different color. Okay, so this is the route, this is the path through which the communication to the database is happening, not directly through from nginx to the database. This is not the case, right? So that's what I was thinking to explain you, so that in back of your head things are clear, right? That's the whole idea. Okay, let's jump to the implementation. So guys, for the backend, if you remember, we are maintaining the this app.py when the application was much simpler, but here we are doing so many things. So for that I have defined the database main, here all the these endpoints I have mentioned, right? So employee management system at root endpoint, and at API endpoint it will be mentioning employee management system API, and at this endpoint health endpoint it will return the message as healthy, and at this endpoint it will do the even the transactions as well, right? It will provide say get all employee details basically from the backend. This is the function which is written. Then with respect to particular employee also we can do the CRUD operation. So that we are so all the CRUD operations are happening from the function which is defined here. Okay, because this is what we are doing from the interface. We can edit the let's jump to the UI. Here you can see there is functionality we have written for the view employees, which will list down all the employees that are present inside our database tables, right? Then there is functionality for the add employee details as well, and you can see even at the record level we can go and edit and even delete the records, right? So with respect to each and every activity we have mentioned all those things, right? And it will be driven through the CRUD operation, so we have written the function for that, right? So that's how the things are. See, this is with respect to the edit employee. This is the function we have defined. It will take employee ID as the input, right? And then this class, and under this class we have defined those functionality. How can we go ahead and make those update at the table level, right? So those things we have mentioned here. And then for the delete functionality as well, we have written the endpoint. So these all things we have written uh, as a part of backend component. But you see the function, right? The class we are referring here. This is a part of mostly the database activities. So uh, for those CRUD operation as well, the different function we have defined, and even I'll show you. I mean, in which file we have mentioned all the connection related information where we will be making the connection to the Postgre database as well, so that we can make those transactions, right? That is pretty much important. For that, we are also maintaining a different file altogether. I mean, that's how a real-time project works, right? We modularize each and every component separately, right? So that's how the all the config at the DB level connection function, and even whatever the query we are executing as a part of current activity, whether it is a fetching detail, I mean select query, whether it's a edit, right? Or whether it's a adding detail, insert query, or delete query, or update query, each and everything, it is a function driven, and we have written the class and function for that, right? And this is the main main.py, very similar to the app.py. If there is a not many things we are doing, right? So we simply keep one file, but generally at the project level we will be doing so many things. So you will be interacting with so many files there, right? And this is for the schema information. So we have created the separate class for that. Using the base. I mean, we are using here pydantic library to ensure the schema, or whatever the output object is coming, we want to enforce some certain schema on top of that, right? So that it should be streamlined. So that is the whole idea. And you can see for the employee base, these are the all details. These are the all details expected. Yeah, these are the all details which are expected, and uh, that's what we are passing to the database table as well, right? And for the update as well, these are the expected details as a part of update. And yeah, see, all those things we have mentioned as a part of employee uh, class. These are the important information attributes we will be expecting in order to insert these details inside the database table. Like ID should be there, created at, updated at, department name, right? These are the bare minimum information we are expecting while uh, creating a, I mean, while updating any employee records inside the employee database table, right? So these are the information we have provided. So that is pretty much important, and you have to follow this pattern while implementing in your project as well. Then for the backend, we are maintaining a separate Docker file. So this is what it is, right? It is very similar to the previous exercise we have done for the uh, backend backup image creation. So through which we are just pulling a Python-based image, a lightweighted, because and this is the version detail we have mentioned. This is the lightweighted Linux image, and then we're creating the app folder, right, in the container, and it will have all the dependencies required in order to create that backend libraries, all those things. Then the installation will happen, then we'll be copying everything from local to the container, and then we are exposing our backend service on 8000 port, right? And this is a command how through which we can deploy this container deploy this backend service on its container, right? Hope everything is clear. Then after that, let's jump to the front end. And front end, it's basically the code which is written to create the UI part, so that we can get some interactive employee management system controls, and through which we can get list down all the available employees, make those edits, make the updates, and even we can delete the records as well. So for that, I mean, primarily we are using JavaScript here. Okay, so we have created the separate pages for the employee index pages. See, all those things we have created, and for the edits, what all logic we have to retain, we have mentioned here. Okay, so that is pretty much easy, not very complicated. We can, guys, I mean, if you have the understanding what you want to create it, you can anyways you will be taking the help of AI coding agents, right? But the idea is you should be aware about what you want to give as a prompt, what you want to build out of those prompts you're giving to the AI coding agents, right? Then after some I mean, some repetitive steps like fixing those bugs or making some enhancement, you will be able to create this prototype, right? It's not a, I mean, very difficult, I would say. So this is the front end component, but apart from this API creation, we are also maintaining the Docker, right? Which is essentially important to pull this node image, creating this app directory to keep this front end code inside that. Then this is the package.json, similar to the requirement.txt, which includes all the dependencies required for this front end to build. See, so many things we have, different I mean images we have used for the node, right? So this is all those details has been mentioned here, right? Which is pretty much clear. And again, we are exposing this on the 3000 port number, and for running it we are using, because a node server is required to run it after the running, right? So this is the base environment in order to run and test your front end that we are developing here as a part of this application of our project development. So that is also pretty much clear, guys. Apart from, let's go through the DB component. So inside the DB, when we are jumping, when we are hitting this application, so you can see these are the preloaded information already available, right? 9 active users. I mean, there are total 10 employees. Out of that, 9 are active, one is inactive, and the 5 department information. So from where these all informations are coming. So for that, we are using this init.sql file to seed that data, right? So we are just preloading this data, so that when we are launching our application, it will reflect some data initially, right? With some department information like 5 department, and followed by these 10 employees records as well. So we are creating department table, we are creating employee table. Just remember the name, guys, because I will also show you uh, how can we connect to the Postgres Postgre database with the help of this PG admin service. And in a very interactive manner, we can see what all tables we have created, what all records are there, and we can also make those changes from the backend as well, right? So those controls also, you should be pretty much clear in your head that while working on the application, how can you interact your DB from the backend and make those changes or do some maintenance activity, right? So you should aware about those path at least, and it depends whatever the project requirement you can complete it, right? So we have created these two tables, and apart from that we have just inserted the record, 5 record for the department and then 10 records for the employee. That's the whole idea. So that is pretty much clear. So we have covered front-end DB, sorry, backend DB, front-end. Nginx is, I mean, very similar. That this Docker file, right? We are just using Nginx image, then we are just removing the existing default file and just copying the file nginx conf file or default. See, in previous project I have used name as the default.conf. Here I'm using nginx.conf. That you can use pretty much. I mean, there is no issue in that. Application is okay with all those changes, but what are the changes you are doing here? Make sure you are making those corresponding changes inside the copy command as well, right? So here we are copying nginx.conf file in place of default.conf. So you just made those changes here, right? Inside the nginx.conf, those are the routes I have defined. So that is very similar. It is listening at 80 whenever end user or client is hitting a browser at internet port. It will come to the Nginx server or reverse proxy manager, and from there it will take it ahead as per the location routes we have defined. It will go ahead and hit the front end or the back end upstreams. Okay, right? Each and everything is mentioned here. Then apart from that, separate Docker file we are maintaining, that is also clear. And for the PG admin, guys, this is the additional service for the user, I mean a user interface, so that in a more interactive manner you can connect with your Postgre server, Postgre database. So it will maintain this JSON file with all those details, that as a part of this one entry on the Postgre server we are maintaining a employee database, right? There could be other database as well, but this one entry tells that as of now there is a one database, employee database present on the server, on this DB, which is running on this port number, right? So this is the database name, and this is the admin user password and all those details as I mentioned, right? And similarly, if you're maintaining other database as well, so those additional details will come as a new entry in this JSON. Nothing else would change, right? So I hope this is also clear. Docker Composer, very important, pretty much. Uh, I mean, the soul and heart of, I would say, the whole application, central in a centralized manner. We are just managing and maintaining all the individual containers, right, seamlessly. So all the services we are just mentioning, the DB services, right? And then our portal port it's running, and we are using the volume as well. Guys, remember we in previous session we talk about Docker volume as well, right? But for the persistent storage, so here also we are persisting because we are using database, and whatever the I mean tables we have created like employee or user, and we are, if you are not persisting those information, sorry, we are creating employee department, and if you are not persisting those information, then we will lost it, right? As and when we are relaunching, I mean suppose we stop the container, we run it, those memory will be flushed out, right? Because those are the RAM memory. So it is important that we are persisting those information. So for that, again, I mean this is very much essential, we are using Docker volume. Then yeah, this is the health check command additionally with respect to the your Postgre specific, right, that you can mention. And for the backend, it's using the path, and inside the backend it will definitely refer the Docker file as well. No need to mention it separately, but with which container name it will be visible inside the Docker desktop. That's what we are mentioning here, right? So when this application will be up and running, we can go there and see there are different container with respect to the front end, back end database, right? It will be visible, and even for the PG admin as well, right? And what all port it's serving, everything is visible. And see, it's 8,000 for this backend, I believe. Similarly, it is for the front end, right? It's pretty much common. And then this is for the Nginx, right? So container name will be employee nginx. It will be serving at locally at port number 80, and on the container as well on the port number 80 only. Then it depends on the front end and the back end. This is pretty much important because when in order to make it up and running so that you can start navigating routing the request coming from the client from the browser to the respective front end back end, right? So for that probably before starting this application, it is important that our front end and back end are up and running, right? That's what we are trying to mention here as a part of depends on command. Then again restart unless stopped, right? So if it is stopped, then you can probably you can using that restart command, it will restart it, right? If it is not stopped it yet, this container will be keep on running. Then it is for the PG admin for the user interface, which enables you to connect to your Postgre server, right? So for that as well as a service, all details has been mentioned, and all the environment parameters like the email ID or the password, all this information has been mentioned, and which port on the local it will be running on 5050 port number on the in the local host. Uh, this PG admin interface will be running. However, on the Docker container, it will be served on port number 80, right? Then again, it is also maintaining the separate volume for the Postgre user interface service. And then it again depends upon the DB because uh, if and only if your DB is up and running, then only it makes sense to connect your Postgre server or database and retrieve the information, right? If your database server is not up and running, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, to which database, I mean, you are going to connect with, and what all information you are going to retrieve from your tables, right? Because nothing will be available. Again the same command for the restart. If it is stopped, you can restart it. And then these are the volume information we are mentioning. So there are two volumes we are maintaining, one at the Postgre server level and second is at pgadmin, right, level. So I hope this file is also clear. So let's build it, guys. So as of now, let me show you. It's not running through my, where is my docker desktop? This is a docker. Okay, so guys, if you see this is running as of now, let me stop it. Okay, you can come and stop it from the interface, this UI as well from the docker desktop. However, I will also tell you from the command level how can you just stop it each and everything using docker stop command. Okay, so there is a command docker compose down through which it will just stop the container. It will even remove your containers, right? And you won't be able to see any of, I mean, any of these existing service up and running. This project will, you will not be able to see if I'll hit this command. Okay, let me do it. Okay, everything is removed. See whether it's volume, networking detail, two volumes has been removed, right? And all the containers has been removed. So let's go there. See, there is no employee management system application, right? I mean, which will underneath having four different containers. So you cannot see that because as a part of this docker compose down, everything has been removed, right? Now let me run this command up build, right? Compose up hyphen hyphen build hyphen d. So it's see it's building and creating each and everything. It's waiting for the employee DB. It's making sure uh, all the data seed, right? Uh, all the pre-built information with respect to the employee and the department. It's created and loaded inside the Postgre database tables, right? So that's what it was doing. Now it's even it's ensured that it's healthy because remember, if you come here on the DB service, it's also running underneath this health check command. So as a part of this command run only, it's showing this as a healthy, right? So I hope this is also clear. You have learned something new today. All right. So you can see here everything is up and running. It's magic, right? So let's go to the front end. Okay, I think there is some catching issue. So, but yeah, see, this thing is working. Okay, this is the front end, so that is working here. So you'll come here, you can see these are the already seeded information data seeding we have done as a part of inserting 10 employees with these labels: 9 active, 1 inactive, and 5 department information. You can pretty much see it. It is visible here, right? You can click it here, view implies, all these details are visible. Even I can come and add the detail. Suppose my name is Raj Kamal, and sorry, this is Raj, last name is Kamal, and then I can use information raj.kamal at gmail, let's say, and then phone number as a this one, and hiring date, let's say 01/01/2024, salary, let's say 50,000. Okay, and then the department information, let's say I belongs to the engineering department, the status is active, right? Let's click it here. Now you can see Raj Kamal, 10th entry, 11th entry is also visible here, right? You can see it. It's pretty much visible. Coming to the home, now it's reflecting the 11 employee, 10 as active one as inactive, and the 5 department information, because I have not added any new department information. So that is intact as it is. So guys, you can see those CRUD operations are happening. That means from backend those communication are happening, right? So from backend, let's come here. So from backend, these interactions are happening between database and backend, right? Let me prove it by inspecting this information as well, right? So come to network, let's hit it. So as a part of it, all this information has been loaded. Okay, let me click on the view employee. Okay, see this API gets called. Where it is, it's written inside the main.py file of backend. Let's go to the VS Code editor. Okay, main. So there are the endpoints defined. So we are retrieving, so it will not be the post, right? Because with respect to that, we make some changes, adding something. See, employee. This is something getting triggered. API slash employee, right? So employee, you can see. Why you're not able to see API? Because that's how we have defined as a route inside the nginx. You remember in the last session I have talked about, see, for the front end, this is the route slash, and for the this backend, this is the route. So you won't be able to, I mean, uh, this is what it is basically. So if you see there, right? Yeah, see there, because if I can recall it correctly, I've explained you this is what you will be able to see from the by inspecting your application, right? Even if someone wants to hack, the hacker will only able to see this much information, not the underneath implementation in which server your backend is deployed, right? So I mean that is proved or not, right? You're pretty much clear. Slash API, it's serving for the backend. Inside the backend, there is another route, employee, and that is defined inside main. This is the complete route, right? That's what you can see it here. the localhost slash API employee, right? So this is a get request where we are retrieving something, not making any changes, right? What are the things? Now even you can see the previews, what all records we are pushing there, what is the response are coming as a JSON records, right? Each and everything you can see it here. Even the timing, how much time is taking to, I mean, you can visualize whatever the request we are making, how much time it's taking over the network. And so in order to optimize it further, because when the functionality gets added, you will find after some times it will take so much of the time. So you will think in direction of optimizing these endpoint requests as well, right? So by that time, this interface, this information, uh, you can take as a reference for your research and development or further optimization, right? That's the whole idea. So all right, this communication you are able to understand. Let me close it. And guys, you can simply come here. From here also you can add the employee reports, and I think from here also it will navigate to the same interface. That's fine. Let's go and edit something, do some fun. uh, Let me add. Okay, change my last name, and we'll see these things are happening or not. Yeah, these things are happening. See, it's updated, right? Last name has been updated here. Okay, all right. That is pretty much cool feature, I would say. So we have covered these aspects as well. Editing is then now as a part of further step. Let's go through how can we interact our PostgreDB underneath tables through the PG admin interface as well. So let's go to the this service. Okay, here you will able to see this is running as the individual container employee hyphen pg admin, right? Let's click it here. It will open the interface. This is the interface I'm talking about. Here I need to pass the password, and for the password, guys, you have to come here. Like we are maintaining a different folder as well, right? For db admin, sorry, pg admin. So here as well we are maintaining the information of the password. So I'm just mention admin 123 only in order to log in. Now you have to come here in order to connect to the particular db. In our case we are using employee db, right? So that is pretty much important. We are connected with employee db. Again the same password admin 123, and pretty much everything looks good. User password again admin 123. Then I'm just use selecting the role as admin as of now, right? Let's hit the connect button. Then again it is prompting for password. Okay, fine. Now I'm able to connect to the employee db, right? Which is existing on my postgres server or database with role admin. That's what it's mentioning here. Now what else I can do? Let's give you a quick walkthrough about the commands, very handy commands through which you can easily able to understand what all tables are already existing. So this is, I mean, a very well-known command for listing what all tables are present inside your the database. So we are already inside the database, connected to the database, right? So let's figure it out how many tables are there. Let's run it. So there are two tables, right? That's what we have created, department and employee. 5 entries we have inserted as a part of init.sql. Guys, just connect. Just I want you to connect each and every dot, right? So db here, init.sql. Here see, we have created two tables, right? One is department, one is employee. That's what it's visible, department employee, right? And we have seeded with some initial level of information, 5 records for department, 10 records for employee. Okay, so that is pretty much clear, I believe. Then let's see what all records are present as a part of this employee table, because we have added a new record, Rajkamal. Then I have changed last name from Kamal to Prajapati, and those changes would reflect if we are making the changes into the right DB and the associated tables as well, right? Because that's what I'm trying to convey here. See, the request we are making from the client, it's coming to the nginx, then it's from nginx, if it is a backend related, it's coming to the backend, and from backend, if it is related to some CRUD operation, it's going and hitting to the DB underneath, right? See, it's showing all the table records. John, Raj. See, this is something I have. Uh, this is the one record, right? I just inserted, and after that I have also updated this record, right? So that is pretty much visible here. You can see it clearly. Okay, all right. Apart from that, we can also go and check department entry as well. See, these are the five records for the departments are available, and there I mean, we have not done anything, not I have not added any new entry for the department, even I have not edited it, not deleted any entry. So this is add as it is, whatever the information I have seeded as a part of init.sql script, right? So guys, pretty much I have covered each and everything, and even in the log wise, let me show you the log again, right? Though I mean, I have shown you the command docker logs command, through which you can monitor the underneath activities. I mean, as and when we will be hitting those respective component services, there will be some logs generated, right? You can keep the track of it. So one way, you are going and seeing from the user interface side using a Chrome inspect functionality, but what is happening underneath in the database, right? That is also important. You want to track it, so you can use that command. Basically, let me open one of my command prompt. This is not one, I think this is the one. So we are as of now we are inside. Okay, all right. Are we not here? Let me navigate to the project directory first, guys. So okay, where is that? So guys, this is the path. I can go here and just come here. Okay, then let's run the docker log command to just monitor what all activities are running on the Postgre server database. Docker logs. There is a no Postgres -db container. Let me see it from here. There is an employee db, sorry. It's employee db, empdb. See, you can see what all things we have done, right? See the creation of table, inserting record, 5 record, 10 records. Then what I have done, it should also keep track of the new entry I have made, server stops. Also mentioning in localhost on this port number it's running, each and everything it's mentioning. Okay, all right. Okay, so guys, I mean, through this command you can uh, keep the track of what all activities you are doing on your Postgres database as well, so that you can you can see what all things are happening, right, with respect to every component, every service. Okay, so that is pretty much clear from this. So guys, as per the today's agenda, I have pretty much covered each and everything what I have planned for today's I mean hands-on session, which is a project based, right? Because the theme was just take and pick. So the idea was take and pick uh, project, full-fledged project, and I can show you how this different components like engineering servers, front-end, back-end, and database interact seamlessly through this networking, right? And what all operation in the real time we can do at the project level as well. I hope you are able to learn something today. With that, I am signing off. But remember, keep learning, keep growing, and keep building together. Thank you.